In the coming weeks, asylum seekers will start to arrive in this tiny, idyllic community in Dorset, housed on the water, far from sight. High on the cliffs overlooking the Bibby Stockholm is one of Portland's 2 prisons. The government insists this barge isn't a third, despite the high metal fences and 24-hour security. No coincidence that today we were invited on board to look around, a stark attempt to shift focus from electoral setbacks to showcasing that Rishi Sunak's government is prepared to be tough on immigration. A bar of soap and a sea view. Rooms are shared, some up to 6. There'll be no privacy curtains put on the bunk beds. The hope is asylum seekers stay on board with a TV room and laptops, 1 for every 20. The boat is exactly how the government have described it. It's basic and functional. But what really stood out for me is just how austere it is. It's really not welcoming at all. But maybe that's the point. This week, the government's illegal migration bill became law. It's central to the Prime Minister's pledge to stop the boats. However, in the last 3 days alone, 23 small boats crossed the Channel, carrying 1,162 people. That's more than double the number that this one barge that's really dominated the headlines can even hold.
I'd say that, as you can see yourself, it isn't a floating prison. People are free to come and go as they want, but we do have this secure fence line in place just so that people don't wander around the port. As you've seen, it is a working port and we need to keep the safety of the asylum seekers on board the vessel at the heart of everything we do.
But on an island that has more lighthouses than police officers, the locals aren't convinced. If the barge isn't here, should it be somewhere else?
As I've said repeatedly, I'd have it outside the House of Commons. Because I think the people that are responsible for this mess, and I say this as a Conservative councillor, and I say this about the Conservative government, the Labour Party, all of the parties, the House of Lords, they can see on a daily basis the mess they've caused by procrastinating on the issue.
The community agrees they don't want the barge, but that's where the harmony ends.
We don't want the barge here. We feel it's inhumane. They don't want the barge here because they think it's 5-star luxury. Regardless of your stance, nobody wants the barge here. We haven't got the infrastructure to deal with it. But yes, of course it's about politics. They're cheering the Tory councillor. They're responsible for this situation. It is all about politics, isn't it?
Politics, it may be, but these floating rooms will house traumatised and vulnerable people. While on dry land, the fierce debate on migrants crossing the Channel continues.